This lesson is going to be over key signatures. First, you must know what a key signature is. Many of you probably have seen one before, but some of you may not have. In all pieces of music, at the beginning of every staff in the music, you will see a key signature. So normally in a piece of music, at the very beginning, you will see the time signature, and then you won't see that again unless it changes. But on every single staff, you'll see a clef and a key signature. So if this was my piece of music, then on every staff, I will have a clef and a key signature. What this key signature tells me is, well, it tells me several things. One thing it tells me is that every B and E in this piece of music is going to be flatted. That is, every B will be played as a B flat, and every E will be played as an E flat. So that way, if your music is in a key that requires these notes, you don't have to write the flats next to every B and every E. Once you see the key signature, you know to always play or sing a B flat or an E flat instead of a B natural or an E natural. And if you want a B natural or an E natural, you'll have to write a natural sign in the music next to those notes. The other thing this tells us is what key the music is in. And this might not seem very important, but actually musicians do like to know what key the music is in. For one thing, we might associate the key with different types of sounds, and also it just helps us to ground ourselves within the music. So now I'm going to teach you both how to identify keys by looking at a key signature and also how to build a key signature. I would like to point out that for this class, you're not required for any assignment to actually write out key signatures. However, it is a really useful skill. First of all, if you learn how to write out all the key signatures, the rest of the assignments and things that you learn this semester will be much easier. And the other thing is that if you should decide to transfer your credit to another school, some schools do require that fundamental students build key signatures. And so you might want to, at least if you're transferring these credits as a music major, make sure you study how to build the key signatures. However, if it doesn't concern you, that's fine. I will also teach you some tricks for how to just identify the key signatures, even if you don't know how to build them. Let's begin learning about how to build key signatures. Most frequently, when people learn how to build the key signatures, they learn it at the same time that they learn the circle of fifths. Now currently, we haven't yet covered fifths, which are a type of interval. However, you'll know enough to follow along with this lecture. So let's start with keys that have sharps in them. Well, actually, let's start with the key that has no sharps and no flats in it, and that would be C major. C does have a key signature, which is to say no sharps, no flats. So if you look at a piece of music and there are no sharps or flats, that implies possibly that the key could be in C major. Now, the first key to have a sharp in it can be easily found by counting up to the fifth note of the C major scale. C, D, E, F, G. G is the first key to have a sharp in it. The reason we call this the circle of fifths. So here, we're going up a fifth to our first key with a sharp in it, and that's G major. If you want to find out what the sharp is going to be, you go down a half step from that note. So G is the key with one sharp, and to figure out what the sharp is, I just go down a half step from G, and I get F sharp. So right here, That right there is the key signature for G major, 1 sharp. And you'll notice that is written on the top line of the staff in treble clef. If it were bass clef, it would be written here. It's always written on that line. The reason I point this out is that musicians are used to quickly looking at a key signature and knowing what it is. So it is kind of important to write the sharps and flats in the right order and in the correct location. So I'm just going to write over here, the first key is G, and the first sharp is F sharp. Now, to figure out what key is going to have 2 sharps, I'm going to count up to the 5th note in the G major scale. G, A, B, C, D. I know that D doesn't have a sharp on it, right? Because that wasn't one of my sharps over here. Okay, so D is going to be my key with 2 sharps in it. D is going to have the same F sharp. And then to figure out what new sharp we add, we go down a half step, remember? So what's down a half step from D? C sharp. So C sharp would be 2nd in my key signature. And the key signature that has F sharp and C sharp in it is the key signature for D major. Now, what would be the key that's going to have 3 sharps? Well, remember, I'm counting up to the 5th note of the D major scale. D, E, F, G, A. So A will be the key that has 3 sharps. It's going to have this F sharp, this C sharp, and what? The note that's a half step below A. And that note is G sharp. Okay, and I'll write that over here. What's my key that's going to have 4 sharps? Think of the A major scale. A, B, C, D, E. It's going to be E. So E is the key with 4 sharps. And they will be F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Oops, I just answered my own question. Well, the last sharp I add is D sharp, right? D sharp is a half step below E. Which key will have 5 sharps in it? Again, let's count. E, F, G, A, B. B is going to have 5 sharps. So my key signature for B will have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and the note that's a half step below B, which is A sharp.